Ugh. Good afternoon, everybody. It's afternoon here on Christmas Eve, where I'm recording this. And it's going to be Christmas Day by the time this is up. So I really only have the one take here, so there's probably going to be a lot of jump cuts. It's scripted, but not that scripted. By the way of me opening my iPad right now should give you a clue on how well prepared this is. I was more prepared for this. However, I graduated, hence my degree to the left of me over here, with my fantastic Pride Stole cum laude cord and this other cord that my mom gave to me to celebrate the fact that I'm graduating college. Behind that is my upright. To my right is my basses. Behind me is my coffee, decaf, and my Yule log. Decaf dark roast, I should say. But also, we have a Yule log. And I thought I'd give a nice, cozy environment to this year's Floofies for a nice, clean ending to whatever the fuck happened this year for me. So, the reason why there have been not many videos coming out in the past few months, for those of you who haven't been around, didn't see the 500 subscriber video, I've been in college. I've been getting that. And now that I do actually have that, I can make videos again. All I have to do now is go to my one job. I've quit Guitar Center and come home and write a lot. So that's pretty much what I've done. We're here for a nice, full, normal video. Now that the 500 subscriber video is done, it is now time to enact the Floofies. A Christmas special, if you will. I'm thinking of making it a Christmas special, actually. I think it'll be a little bit more fun. Hence the pajamas, though. I haven't taken a shower. I haven't really done shit today. I have shit to do, but I haven't done it yet. I'm going to wait until, after this. I'm at least going to record the entirety of this first. But anyway, let's get started. There's going to be some old categories and some new categories. But first, a caveat. Because of this year's shenanigans and my intermittentness in making videos, there are going to be some exceptions to this year's Floofies. Last year, the rules were, as long as I had it in my hands, I was able to put it on the list. This year's going to be a little bit different. There should be only one bass in here, or one thing in here that I haven't had any interaction with other than heard on the internet and heard other people's videos. Yep, it's only the one. I'm checking over the script. Again, preparation be damned, really. But yeah, there's really only one bass on the list this year that I didn't actually get my hands on and try. Everything else is pretty normal. Also, everything else from last year had a place in a video. That also is being omitted this year. As to, I simply didn't make the videos on a lot of the things on this list that I actually really did like, or didn't like, or am on, or I'm disappointed by. There are going to be some old categories. Most of them are going to be old categories. However, there are going to be a couple of new categories this year. One of the new categories this year is going to be the best bass method book, given to the best bass method book that I find to be most helpful for both newer and experienced players. And then the other new category is going to be best bass pedal, or best pedal in general, given to the best pedal that I've tried this year. Again, we're kind of omitting the tried thing, but for me personally, I tried to keep it as personal as I could. As a matter of fact, that pedal is on my board, so you won't see it, but I'm going to have to go grab it. A lot of the stuff on this list, too, is actually stuff that I have here on my rack, so this should be really, really fun and interesting, and I hope you're here to enjoy the ride. With that being said, let's get on to our first category. Just like last year, we got to open this up with the Dark Horse Award. The Dark Horse Award is given to the bass that I least expected to be good, but very much exceeded my expectations and was actually quite excellent. And the award for that one goes to... Drum roll, please. I am now going to cut, and then I'll have the actual bass on my... That'll go to this. This is the Squire Jag PJ bass that Sono gave to me as a gift sometime this year. It's so jarring to describe the experience that I've had with this bass. I went into this not liking PJ basses really at all. My experiences with them has been pretty slim. I always thought that if I was going to have a PJ bass, it would be a Yamaha BB, and that was pretty much it. The P bass pickup is usually always going to be the most powerful one, and the J bass one is always thin and anemic. But when Sono actually gave this to me because he bought it for so damn cheap, it changed my mind on all of it. It's actually interesting. I just kept playing it. This is honestly like an absolute pick machine. I love this thing. I even put a sticker on it. That's how you know that it's kind of a keeper. So thank you, Sono. You've really given me a bass that has really exceeded my own expectations. The 2 tone knobs or click knobs too. Like, this thing's awesome. And it's like, they're still cheap. They're still like under $300, I think, for a lot of them. This one's from 2011. It's a long scale one, so it's not one of the short scale ones. It's currently wound up with the DR Dragonskin Plus nickels, and I've been in love with it. This thing's an absolute pick machine. Remember that thing a few moments ago when I was talking about the new categories? We're not there yet. The second one's going to be the Broke Bassist Best Friend. I don't have this one here with me today. I do have one that's just like it, but it's the model above. But it was released this year, and I thought I had to put it on the list. I was really, really, really impressed with it. So with that being said, drum roll, please. The winner is the Sterling Intro Series Stingray. I had really low expectations for it. I thought it was going to be garbage. For 250 some odd bucks, or under $300, I know that for a fact. It was like a too good to be true kind of thing. Like, oh man, you're going to make the Stingray passive. You're kind of taking the Stingray out of the Stingray, aren't you, in some ways? No, not at all. It still feels and sounds like a Stingray. It's still got that aggressive, that bite and that grind that you would want from it. But it's just passive. It's simply simpler. And it's fantastic. I had one at Guitar Center. I thought it was just a phenomenal feeling bass, a great sounding bass, and for how absolutely cheap it was, I feel like there's something special. I think that they're going to be great mod platforms, and they're just fun for me. They were just a good time. I want to get my hands on one in 2025, but for 2024, I am very content with this winning this category, because it was between that and the Squier Sonic Series. And the Sonic Series was no slouch, but I think they came out in the 2023, so I don't think I could give it to it. Anyway, on to the next one. Our next category is going to be our new category. It's going to be the Best Bass Method book, given to the book that I find to be most helpful for both new and experienced players. And the winner for that one is Building Walking Bass Lines by Ed Friedland. This book is just fantastic on getting the entire concept of walking bass lines under your fingers, because canonically, and at least for me personally as a student, walking bass lines are kind of hard to get because the people that you would want to listen to are basically buried underneath a layer of horns and other lead instruments. And it's just really hard to hear lines to get a good idea and start like transcribing stuff down. What this does is it gives you all the concept that all these guys are using. Chromaticism, fifths, kind of using triads, using chord tones, kind of going around chord tones, changes, and it keeps pushing you on. But it's so incremental. It doesn't feel like it's giving you too much at one time. And what you start with is a very Bojanky sounding bass line, but what you end up with is a fully fledged walking one. You just have to give yourself the time, give yourself the practice, and it's an excellent book. I love it. I love using it. If I were still teaching, I would probably teach with it to anybody who would want to learn jazz. And damn, it is hot in here. I'm taking the hat off. We're keeping the hat around, but I'm just taking the hat off. It's kind of really hot. But it helps you get the absolute necessary fundamentals that you would get to get your ass walking. So I highly recommend it. I have it. I'm just not going to bring it out because I'm already sitting and I'll edit it in. Here it is. It looks like this. The next category is going to be our other new category this year. It's going to be the best bass pedal. The best pedal in general, I should say. Best pedal for bass. I put best pedal, but it's a bass pedal. It's best bass pedal. Best pedal with bass player in mind. It's given to the best pedal that I think does an excellent job of doing a bass job. It doesn't necessarily have to have the word bass on it. It just has to do bass things, retain low end and all that good stuff. And for me personally, it was... The winner is this guy. The Germanium Big Muff 4, or Big Muff Germanium 4, however hell you want to spin it. It doesn't matter. It surprised me. I was looking for a drive pedal that retained as much as the low end as humanly possible, gave me an absolute amount, like a stupid amount of grind. throughout the like actual knob twisting of the pedal. And what this does is it gives me a clean boost and an overdrive and a fuzz pedal all in the same box. It doesn't lose that much low end despite being built for guitars in mind. I love this thing, man. You can play with a voltage even. This thing is an absolute monster. You can go from just a nice, subtle clean boost to some of the grindiest shit you'll ever hear. There's a lot of versatility, and I've barely cracked the surface when it comes to the absolute ocean of options that you could have for this bass pedal. Or I guess pedal in general. It doesn't say bass on it, but I would consider it to be a bass pedal. This thing kicks ass. This is one I don't have, but it's the Worth Every Penny Award, given to a bass over the price of $1,500. That is genuinely fucking worth it. And the winner for this category is the Fender USA Geddy Lee Signature Bass. Kind of surprised to both you and me on this one, honestly. I didn't think Fender anything would be winning this year, but they squeaked out. Because I was thinking if anything was going to win in the Fender umbrella, it would be Squier, right? But the Fender MIM one was like fine. It was a fine bass. But the USA one really lets the USA guy spread their wings. You could tell that it's a lot more intentionally built. It does the Geddy thing, man. It's a super high quality bass with an absolutely killer sound. It's a killer feel. The neck is fantastic. I plan to pick one of these up again in the future. It's going to be my go-to jazz bass at some point. At least my go-to 70s jazz bass. It does not only the Geddy thing, it does the 70s jazz bass thing as well. It looks clean. It looks crisp. It sounds clean. It sounds crisp. There is a bocce ball coming out of the bed. Hello, buddy. He's got his bow tie on. I'll show you his bow tie. It's hello. Back on the USA Geddy Lee. I think it's a great bass. It's like $2,000. You could pick them up used for like around 15, I think, some in that ballpark. Last time I checked, 15 to 17. And I think they're worth it. I really do. I think that you could daily that bass and run it everywhere despite it being Geddy Lee's signature bass. It looks awesome. I love the neck on it. The neck is my favorite part. And I wish I still had it, but I had to sell it on Sono's behalf. So, you know, it is what it is. I'll get another one, though. All right, Bocce, we're so upset. Up next is our first negative award, I should say. And that's the most disappointing one. Most disappointing award is the bass is given to the bass that I had really high standards for, or just a good amount of standards for, and it just didn't quite meet them. It's not a bad bass. It's just not that good. It's like the dad coming up to you and saying, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. That is what this award is all about. And the winner for that one is, and this one will get me crucified by everybody in the comments, and probably Lobster, and probably Bully, and probably everybody. Because everyone has spoken so positively about this. And I do too, in some aspects, but I also have some very big negatives. I had really high standards for this bass. I just don't think that it met those standards. Maybe I set them too high. I'm open to that. But for me personally, the winner of the most disappointing award is going to be, and this one's gonna hurt y'all. Are y'all prepared for this one? It's the Sire Z3. I am genuinely disappointed in this bass. And let's make my point clear here. It has absolutely nothing to do with the sound that this bass makes. This thing is, in terms of just sound, Bocce, I know, it's so terribly disappointing for me. I know, it's so controversial. You're sounding just like the comments to me, buddy. I know. It's not that this bass sounds bad. I actually do think that this is one of the best sounding basses that you could buy for like under $500. I really do. What is your deal? Yeah, this one hurts to put here, man. It really does. I had really, really high expectations for this bass. I thought it was going to excel. I thought it was going to soar. I think it's good. I just don't think it's that good, per se. I think is the best way to put it. The blockiness of the body, the short horn, and the neck dive on the instrument. Like, the neck dive is something I can look past. That's something that you get on these cheaper instruments. The tuners not being super awesome is also something I could look past, because those are pretty easy to replace. But the actual playability of the instrument is where you start to lose me. I think this is one of the best sounding basses that have come out this year. That is its absolute highest point. Its absolute lowest is how thick this body is on this side. I even have a comparison photo putting it side by side with my Sterling Stingray. And then this short horn. These are both of its big shortcomings for me. Because if it was just the tuners, just the headstock being divey, the neck feels really good, I could get past it. But the short horn and the comfort curve not being all that comfortable, you start to lose me. It really starts to fall apart for me. It falls off my leg whenever I try to sit down with it. And I know that your answer probably is like, oh, just like stand with the strap. Like, I'm not standing all the time when I play bass. Most of the time I'm plugged into here listening to myself. And if I'm doing that, this is sitting on my leg like this. And if after 10 minutes of playing, it starts to slip off of my leg because the horn's so short and my arm starts to hurt because this cut's not deep enough, then I don't want to play it. And if I want a Stingray sound, I'm going to resort back to my other Stingray, no matter how good this one sounds. I'm going to want to actually rip the electronics out of this and put it in my Stingray if it were actually mine. But again, this is Sonos, so blah, 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 blah. I'm going to give it back to them. But just, I can't give super high praise if it has some very big flaws in my eyes. Do you know what I'm saying? I know I'm still going to get crucified in the comments for this one. I know this one's probably going to be a fat L in the comments, but for me personally, this is the most disappointing bass for me this year. But that should be seen as a good thing, because if this is the most disappointing bass, then this is a damn good year for instruments. On to the next award. It's a classic from last year. I'm going to try and implement it every time in every Floofies ever because I think it's too funny. But it's the You Missed April Fool's Day award. It's given to the bass that is basically a scam, or it's just really bad. It doesn't have the like guts or the moxie to win the worst, but it sure as hell is like a really stupid idea. And I feel like this one is going to be obvious for anybody that has been in the bass world over the past, I want to say 3 or so months, because it was announced, everyone was excited, then everyone saw it and was immediately not as excited for it. And the winner for this one is what I lovingly call the Epiphone Putter. It's the Epiphone Grabber. I wanted this to be good so bad. I really did. And this is the only one I didn't actually try in person, but I gotta assure you, I don't really want to. After watching Johnny Dibble's video, great video by the way, shout out to Dibble, and Patrick Hunter's video, who's also done an excellent job on reviewing this. Dog, I don't like it. The pickup is really, really noisy for me. I don't know where that's coming from, considering it's a humbucker, but in single coil it of course gets worse, but even in humbucker mode, it makes a good amount of noise. I don't think the electronics are all that good. It kills the point of having the grabber because you can't really grab it and put it and move it places. It's a putter. I don't know what Epiphone has against bass players, but they never seem to get it right. I feel like the body is going to be good for people looking to modify and make a grabber out of it and just CNC the rest of what they need to do it. Because that's not there either. It's just the hole for the pickup. Maybe throw a different pickup in it. Maybe put it more in the middle. I don't know. It might be a cool mod platform, but then it's $1,000, and that's just a spit in the face, bro. Like, actually, Epiphone, go back to the kitchen and read the recipe down the right way this time. You guys tried to cook, went off the books, and then it turned out like ass. That's what you get. All right, we're heading down to the end, folks. We got to get to the worst, though. But before we get to the actual worst, we must first bring up the runner-up for the worst. There's only one runner-up this year. Again, it's a pretty good year for basses, minus the grabber. But the one runner-up that I have is the Fender Player 2 series. I can't give it the worst because there's inherently nothing all that bad about it. There's just not a lot of good. It's perfectly a nothing burger. It's not mid. It's just a nothing burger. It's mid in the bad way that kids think mid is. Like, on a scale from 1 to 10, this is like a 4 because no one expected it. Not many people really wanted it. You should have gone with Rosewood the first time, sweetie. It feels like a refresh for no reason. It doesn't sound any different to my ears. It doesn't really feel any different, even with the rolled edges on the fingerboard. It kind of does nothing for me. Like, it's cool. It's there. They refreshed some of the colors. They added some more colors in. Like, that's cool, I guess, but I don't care. Like, I genuinely care. I don't care enough to even give it an award in any capacity. I barely cared enough to put it here. It's such a nothing sandwich, man. If it was a nothing burger award, it would have won. But because there isn't, and I'm not going to put one in because I don't want to encourage nothing burgers, I just want to point and laugh at the stupid ideas to make sure that these companies get the idea that we don't like everything that they will put out, and especially if it has a big name on it, the grabber, we're not going to like it, right? Honestly, just not interact with this one at all ever again after this video. If you're cool with that, I'm cool with that. I don't think it does anything. But the worst overall, the biggest piece of shit this year, has to go to one bass. That is still in my collection, by the way, because it's so shit that it's funny. That is the $40 Hondo. This thing sucks. Like, even after the repairs, it doesn't feel that good. It doesn't keep a tune that well. It doesn't hold screws in many places. A lot of the screws have fallen out over time. It crackles, it bangs, it's a piece of shit. It's a vintage bass, but it was $40 off of Facebook Marketplace, so I guess that's the saving grace to it. But I never play it. I'm probably gonna sell it pretty soon locally, just for like maybe $100 because it's complete now, and I thought the neck was terrible, which is how I got it for $40. The neck's pretty good, so someone can probably make something special out of this. That guy's just not gonna be me. I think it's goofy, I think it's funny, but it is hands down the worst instrument I put my hands on this year, and it's not even close. Now, before we get on to the best bass of 2024, the best overall, I do want to go over my personal pick of 2024. Every year I do a personal pick before doing the best, because although it might not be the best for everybody, it's the best bass like that I would probably personally buy tomorrow. And for the best pick, like Floof's favorite, oh, that's what I should name this. For Floof's favorite of 2024, I'm going to pick the 2024 Rickenbacker 4003S. And the reason why I'm angling it this way is I know if I angle it a little bit more, the sun's going to catch it and it's going to hit the camera, it's going to suck. So, with that precaution in mind, here it is. Here's what it looks like. I'm going to put it down so I can talk about it before it hits the camera really bad. Now, the 2024 Rickenbacker is doing what I've always wanted Gibson Epiphone to do, which is take their basses that have this nice, classic, vintage look, take away some of the things that people hate about them, and just refine it into a more modern, like, platform. And what Rickenbacker has done over the past decade, I should say, give or take, is when they started making some of these changes. They've really made strides into making the bass, like the Rickenbacker 4003 and 3S respectively, a good instrument, a good dailyable instrument, a less niche instrument. First of all, they added the push-pull switch way back when in like the early aughts to satisfy people who wanted the classic Rick sound, but also the modern Rick sound. And that gives it a lot of versatility alone. Then they went and updated the bridge to, you know, have these more standard rollers. The rollers allow for string adjustment as well. It's still got that classic Rick look, but they updated it in a way that still keeps the vibe, but is a bit more functional. And what they did in the last, like, I think 2 years, I think the Al Cisneros signature is the one that tipped this off, is they made it a single truss rod design. The necks have thinned down a lot because of that, because they don't have to make the necks thicker than God, like on my 2021 model, because it's got 2 truss rods and it could flex. I don't worry about that with this instrument. This one's going to become the new road dog for me. The new bass that I'm going to take absolutely everywhere, because I think it's awesome. I think that they've done a great job over the past few years, really making the Rickenbacker 4003 and S respectively a good dailyable instrument for musicians again. Is their thing at NAMM going to be boring again? Probably. They're probably going to have everything hung up and held in with zip ties to make sure that no one has fun and blah, 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 blah. I hope they change that. I plan to go to NAMM this year. But overall, this didn't win any awards because I don't think it did better in any specific category than the other basses did. But for me personally, this is the most perfect bass for me. However, we must get on to the overall winner, shall we? Don't drop it. Now, the best overall winner does not come easily this year. I've tried a lot of really, really good basses. It's been a good year for the instrument, honestly, for electric bass in general. But for the runner-ups, I would just want to give them a quick mention and give them a sense of notoriety that they have done really well this year. First up is the upright. It didn't get its own video. It's probably not going to get its own video until like early next year. I got it for free. It's a goofy story that I want to share in its own separate thing, but it's actually quite a nice playing upright for what it is. It's just I couldn't give it the best this year because I think that the best instrument this year, although it didn't come out this year, it's not this. This is big, it's bulky, it's not really all that heavy, but it's just very cumbersome to move around. There are some flaws with it. But I thought it would be funny to at least throw it in as an honorable mention because as a first upright, it's actually quite good. The Harley Benton PJ Mustang that I tried really early in the year. I think it's awesome. I want them to bring it back if they haven't already. I actually haven't kept up on Harley Benton recently. Have they brought it back yet? If they have, they should keep it that way. If they haven't, they should. I think if they brought it back and then gave it a pickup selector switch, it would just be golden. It would just be a junior version of the Made in Mexico Mustangs that are like actually a little bit better too. I really do think Harley Benton struck a home run with that one. And the mods that Sono Jono did it with his, giving it series parallel, giving it the ability to switch the pickups, it's kind of a masterpiece. I really do think that as a mod project, it's really hard to beat. It's really fun. It's not that expensive. You're not in it for a lot. It's got a lot of goofy options that you could probably do if you really wanted to, if you had a Dremel and some time, or a garage and some time, or a drill press and some time. You could probably put speed holes in it. I don't care. They're like $100. Who cares? Like, that's what I'm getting at here. I think it's one of the more fun instruments of the year. I just don't think it edged out as the best. I just think that there were better options for me this year. Better options that I had in my hands. The Schecter Banshee, though, another one that in the very same light I thought is really good. Very fun. If it didn't have the quarter pounder pickup being stocked, like if it was just a standard P-bass pickup and it didn't do that funny scoop in the mid-range, it actually would have been really close. I think that the real best bass of the year, the real number one for me, which might give you a hint, just edges it out a little bit more. I think the Schecter Banshee is awesome, though. I think it's really fun. I think it's interesting. I think it's got a nice deep sound to it. It could have been better sound-wise. That's very easy to fix. I'm not gonna ding it because it's like that much, because it's a mod project too. Like, I think that one's like $700. You get a lot of bass for that money. If you're a guitar player looking to play bass, man, that's a really good one to do because it's short scale. It's still a P bass. It sounds like a P bass. It feels like a P bass. It's pushed just a little bit more forward, so it's a little bit more full. I just really wish they put a regular P bass pickup in there, because if they did that and they gave it like true fullness, it would have such great mid range. It's like it's this close, man. It's this close for being like the perfect short scale. But it just quite missed the mark. But that's okay. Like, I still think it's great, and I still think it's worthy of praise. Now, on to number one. Cold. Yummy. The number one bass of the year should be no surprise to you. I'm not going to put a drum roll for this one. I'm just going to walk over. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to sit my ass back down, and you're all going to clap, okay? Because who else? Who better? Who more exceptional than this? I really don't think there was a better bass this year. Because of the Fender Player 2 series coming out, these got cheaper brand new. I think these basses are awesome. I think they're worth every penny. I think they are the most consistent and good quality basses that you could buy for the money. You could get these used from anywhere from $400 to $600, and brand new from like $600 to $700, while the new Made in Mexico Player line is going to be at $800 for a while. Brand new, you wait for this thing to go on sale for like $600, go get it. Seriously, it's a good P bass. It's really, really consistent. it plays like an old friend. Mine is a 2018 model because I swear the necks are different, but if you grab like a 2018 one and you want like the different neck, it's just a little like a light gloss over a true satin. But the newer ones with the true satin are good too. If you get any of the ones with a maple board, I think they're great. If you get one with a Pal Ferro board, just swap it out for a rosewood one, like a rosewood neck. It really isn't that hard. They're still bolt-ons. They're still moddable. They're still moldable to what you need it to be. I've put fender strap locks on this one. I plan to change the bridge at some point. Maybe the tuners as well. I put the Labella super polished strings on it. I think those are probably the best strings of the year, but that's not an award. But it should be, considering my channel. There's a whole bunch of consistent, there's a whole bunch of good, and they're just consistently good. And that to me is a much more useful metric as a musician, knowing that I can go anywhere in the world, go to a local store, find a Player One Series P bass, grab it off the shelf, and I could probably play it at a show that night. I think they are that consistent with these. This was before Made in Mexico really hit the gutter in like 2022. And onwards, doing things with the Mike Kerr bass and all that jazz. This was before that time. This is right before it. So you kind of get this nice top of the curve where it's the highest quality, and now it's at a really, really good price, and it's right before they just tank. I would say get one before 2023, because a lot of the 2022s are going to roll over into that. You could probably get away with the 2024 one. Just be careful of the necks and all that. And, you know, depending on where you live, just be careful of condition and stuff like that, and Guitar Center setups and all that jazz. But overall, I really do think that the Player One Series P bass, that I have to fucking specify now, is the best bass you could buy this year. I really do. And with that being said, that's it. Just like that, that's a wrap. This is going to be the last video of 2024. I am going to go spend my time getting, one, the grocery order that Sarah told me to get, and two, just spending some holiday time with, you know, the in-laws and stuff, and having a good time with it, and just enjoying my time with my partner and everything. And I hope everybody in the crowd has a very, very wonderful holiday, no matter what holiday that is. I think tomorrow is the last day of Hanukkah. I'm not Jewish. I'm sorry if I butchered your holiday. I also don't know when Kwanzaa starts, but I know that's around this time of the year as well. So happy anything, you know, happy holidays to anybody who celebrates a holiday. I guess I really just want to end it by saying this. I am truly floored by how much support this channel has gotten over the past year, from both my end of things, from joining Bully Stream, from making friends with like Lobster and stuff. I really am just kind of a mouth agape in some ways about it. I'm in cahoots with a lot of really, really cool people like AMP, Dibble, and stuff like that. I would say Bully and Lobster are friends. It's really interesting to kind of be in this position that I'm in, and now that I'm graduating and I get to dedicate more time to it and I get to have more fun with it, I want to. I want to keep putting my pedal on the gas and keep going, because despite everything that happened this year, you guys have stuck around, and even when I didn't upload anything, it went from 500 and I'm just shy of 550 as of recording this. It's insane to me that you guys kept going and kept supporting no matter what happened to me, no matter how much shit slowed down, no matter how much shit hit the fan. You guys kept going, and with that, I appreciate that a lot. So I just wanted to say thank you for everything this year. There's going to be a video on January 1st or somewhere in the first week of January, where I go over what I want the channel to do next year. And I'm not going to put that in this video. I feel like this has already got a long enough runtime in it as it is. That's its own dedicated thing. That'll be its own like dedicated 5-minute video. But I like to do it once a year to give a checkup on the channel. So that's probably when you're going to see me next. With that being said, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. My name is Floof the Bassist. Peace.